7, sound check is at 6:15. If you don't get it.
All right, good afternoon. All right, we are definitely behind calling the meeting to order at 4:36. Welcome everybody, PBC members, program participants, glad to have you guys here. It is April 12th, and I forgot to tell my sister happy birthday. Woo, okay. I'm gonna have to do that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that right now. All right, so welcome everybody. Really appreciate everyone making the time to come, and I'm so sorry about this squished atmosphere, but it's really great to see everyone here, as well as seeing some new members. Brooke, I'm looking at you. As you see here is the current board that has been serving you for the past 2025 to 2026 year. As you know, we've got a few people rolling off and a few people rolling on. So we got a big agenda of items to go through. So without further ado, I wanted to first welcome everyone and also recognize some past presidents that are here. I see Pamela Roberts and Cindy Cole's on the porch patio. And where's Mr. Eric Myers? He's also out on the patio, obviously. And she came for the social part, but not for the business part, was also Olin Huxley. No favoritism there. All right, so quick reminder, we did do e-votes, but if by chance you did not get your votes in, I want you to visit Mr. Johnny Forrest in the back. He is handsome, he is tall, and he's a great rower too. So please submit your ballots over to him if you have not voted yet, so he could tally it and add it in to the e-votes that we captured. Wanted to just check out and see, rather than make you stand, I'm not going to embarrass you. Can I get a show of hands of the new members here? I apologize, but also really glad to have you guys coming on board. It's really exciting to always just see the new faces, which also brings me to some of the ones that we've lost in the past. I may get a little emotional right now just because, as you guys have unfortunately probably gotten a couple messages from us lately, is we've just learned of some of our members who have passed away in the past winter. So what you see here is Bob Ferguson, as well as Nils Peterson. Nils Peterson was our finance chair. If you read Tim Baxter's notes about Bob, he was such a huge contributor on the club rowing committee for so many years and fixed tons of boats, saved us tons of money in the past, which really, if you think about that time, it went a really long ways for the club. We also lost Bill Kostoff. Bill was a part of the men's sweep team. He was also a member of Potomac Scullers. He also independently sculled, as well as was on the float team. If you were ever here during his time, you could see Bill Kostoff here at 4:30 in the morning, setting up the coaches' launches, hustling around, and also taking them down, and then getting right to work on the docks. So these are some really big losses to PBC. I also wanted to recognize some losses of family members for some of our longtime members. You know, we had Barb Ryan's husband pass away last year, but then also Susan Trice. She was a longtime member of PBC, but also a governor and on so many committees, social committee, CRC, and her son passed away in February after a very crazy whirlwind just work travel issue. And so these are the types of individuals that make our community, and it's very sad to see and hear of their losses. Two of these are my Syracuse alumni guys, and so it hurts even deeper for me to now be a part of their stories and hearing them from their classmates. And that just also brings me to another point about community and also giving. I learned Nils Peterson in his time after graduating Syracuse in 1970. He gave back to that program a total of 2 8s, 4 4s, and 2 pairs. I mean, that is huge, right? And I also am talking about giving and talking about, I hate to say money, because it's the generosity and what we hold so near and dear with our friendships from college programs, right? I know that I hold those friendships so true to me. I may not have seen my friends in decades, but I will always be by them. I will always be there for them. And I think that's a really cool part of this sport. And I think that's a really cool part of this community. What's also amazing was uh, on Giving Day for Syracuse last year, the men's alum program gave $250,000 back in one day, and this year they gave back $120,000, and our women's team gave back $50,000, and this is just in one day. So if you get those collegiate Giving Day programs, it also for me represents how important the sport is in building our friendships, in building our who we are. And I am really proud to say I really hope PBC continues that for you guys, to build these friendships, to build more community, to have a group to come to when maybe you just moved to this area. So I think it's a really special opportunity for us to have each other and just really be a part of this together. So sorry about that little wee sentimental moment, but it's been really hard to see these losses come almost back to back. But again, I welcome the new members because you are now coming into this community and hopefully carrying on that type of like energy and legacy and spirit that these individuals gave us. Okay, so slightly onto a little bit business. I know we kind of emailed you guys twice today, one from Gata, one from me, but we want to make a motion. Anyone want to make a motion for the 2025 semi-annual meeting minutes to be approved? Motion, any second? Got it. All in favor? Any nays? Minutes have passed. Thank you. All right. So just wanted to bring you guys up to date on a couple things. So I usually start and say this is PBC's mission. However, with this new group that I'm working with, that's come into question. If you look at our Constitution's Section 1, Section 3 of Article 1, it says the object of the corporation, which is Potomac Boat Club, is to bring about the mutual improvement of its members and the promotion of amateur rowing and aquatic sports in the District of Columbia. And I've always said, you know, with you guys, this is how I always kind of kick off, you know, how I approach decisions, how I approach PBC, how I approach thinking of this little ecosystem that we have together. However, one of the first bullets you're going to see is that we have a subcommittee right now taking a look at the PBC Constitution. We want to make sure, is it up to date? Is it capturing everything? Right now, I say it's a little junky, right? There are certain parts of the Constitution that to me, as I'm not of any legal minds like some of these wonderful individuals here, but some of it I read as, should that be a bylaw and not in the Constitution? It's talking about process. We made the last amendment back in 2020, but it was kind of hyper-focused at that time to bring in e-voting. And I think that was a missed opportunity for us to really take a good look at the entire thing, because the Constitution is not something you want to change every other year. It is a document that really helps guide us. So right now we have, and how many people are on the committee?
We have a committee of 11, and we've started by looking at the entire document, but we are asking ourselves the question of, should anything change? And if so, what and how? And so when we say, I wouldn't say the purpose or the statement is in question, I'd say it's being thoughtfully examined.
Right. And so we're doing that with the entire document and just making sure, number one, it aligns, making sure it makes sense, right? Again, like, is something supposed to be more of a bylaw, or is it something that's part of our Constitution? And so be aware, we do have this subcommittee working on it, and it's not something that the board can just single-handedly approve. This is something that goes to the membership. So then that means we will also call a special meeting of the corporation We'll also have another special meeting of the corporation to go over it, and the club will vote on it. And so we don't want you to think that this is something that's being done behind your backs. This is part of the membership and our responsibilities when we take a look at this.
I'll just say we also are planning on some scoping sessions ahead of time. So I would expect the membership will have no fewer than 4 occasions in public or electronic forums to voice their opinion either by voting or by feedback, because it's just best practice for a full-scale review.
Just a quick question. Are you guys doing some kind of comparison to the Constitution and bylaws to see if they align?
100%. In fact, there's
Repeat the question.
Yeah, so Carol thoughtfully asked, are we doing a comparison of the Constitution to the bylaws to match what should be where? And so there's a lot of comparative work going on. We're looking at that issue, what belongs in a Constitution, and what should be done with it, and what needs to be done in bylaws. And should one be thinner and the other one more robust? Is one maybe not in need of modernization and the other one, or both? And we're also doing comparative work with peer clubs in the space. And actually, we're really lucky that Olin is serving. Well, there are 4 of us on the club on the ad hoc committee that have shared memberships or been members at other clubs, including potentially officers at other clubs. And so we're bringing sort of their learning and their mistakes as well.
Now, for some of you who were part of the 501c3 conversation, I also just thought of this. There were a couple people who voiced their concerns against changing PBC into a 501c3. Some were for it. We're still not done with that conversation, but I also do not want people to go away thinking they're doing this Constitution exercise to try to shift that part. This is totally separate, and that was actually not even a part of why we wanted to take a look at this Constitution. So I just want to make that clear, because I don't want anyone to think we're trying to slide one over on you guys. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you for updating on the 501c3, because I was going to ask that.
Yeah, you can't hear you.
So Pam just thanked about bringing up the 501c3 topic.
I have to ask my question.
Yes.
So, if you decide to go to a 501c3, that change what the Constitution bylaws? Should you decide on one at this point before you do the other?
So
Dependent on tax status.
So I can answer that, and I defer to Stu just a little bit on the 501c3 part.
What's the question?
The question was, if you're going to make a 501c3 change, wouldn't you do that decision first and then address the Constitution? And I think responding to some of the feedback we had in the beginning of the 501c3 process, and certainly this is the approach I've taken. And by the way, the constitutional subcommittee is co-chaired by me and Nick, and we have a large group of people. We can send an email with an update on who they are. They come from a wide range of club and nonprofit, et cetera. We decided that we should decide who we are constitutionally first and not have it be guided by C3 or any other status. That's the chicken in the egg. Do they, and there's been no discussion in the time that we've spent together as a subcommittee as to tailoring it for an outcome. Its identity. I mean, we started with some of the great writing of people in nonprofits and business organizations as source documents about what is a constitution supposed to do? Constitute the body politic itself, reflect who it is today and what it's concerned about, what its primary goals are. And from there, the rest of your statuses and structures flow.
Are those meetings open to the membership, or are they closed?
We haven't made them open yet, but certainly the results of them and the outcome will be part of the scoping sessions we have, where you will not see it for the first time at the 2 constitutionally required meetings of the corporation. There will be feedback sessions in advance of that so that we may hear and adapt.
I would say a little bit of this has been influenced, and I'm going to plug utilizing him, is Dick Ewing and the Potomac River Sports Foundation. He has actually, as our foundation has reconvened with a new board, Dick Ewing has really led some really great workshops on what Ed was just talking about, like identifying ourselves first. So that's what we've been working on, and I think that's a really important thing of what we're doing on this subcommittee. And again, I just only brought up the 501c3 more as it reminded me, and I didn't want anyone to assume we're doing something to tweak towards that outcome as Ed kind of.
We're not rushing to be done.
No.
We're not rushing to be done. This isn't expected to be presented in the October meeting. If we do the work and it gets torn apart, then we will go back and do the work.
Okay. So that's just a quick update on that bullet point. The next one, I don't have too much of a update with DC Water as well as Water Street because we see it. Some of us, as Susie Spalding said, are avoiding it. So I know I park up in Georgetown now just because I don't want to even take a guess or if I'm cutting on time. As we know, DC Water is actively working here. And they actually kindly, without telling us, put those boat club parking signs up. We were a little surprised. So it doesn't mean the DC Water construction guys are not parking there because I saw their 2 trucks take up all 4 spots. But they are trying to be in communication with us. And as you guys all know, we are now getting communications on top with the Long Bridge project. So if you guys have not seen any of those emails, right now there's a project from Long Bridge Park in Arlington, Virginia to do a pedestrian path across into DC. That is going between, interestingly enough, and if Chris Conroy can clarify, that is going to be between the Amtrak train tracks or delivery tracks and the WMATA trains, the Washington Metro trains. So that is also where you saw a note from Andrew Weinstein about not going through 14th Street. So please be aware, if you're in club equipment, race or club, do not go through 14th Street until years down later we say, okay, all right, it is not worth the risk. 2031. I'm gonna say though, time flies. So I just reshared a picture from San Diego in 2013. Anyway, all right. Getting back to the meeting. Real quick. I just also want to take a second to recognize some of the partnerships we have going on. As we all experience with the DC water interceptor sewage spill, we really appreciate having partnerships with Potomac Conservancy, Potomac River Keepers Network, because if you guys ever followed those lovely emails that Andrew was sending us as updates, the DC water and DC government numbers really were off compared to what the Potomac River Keepers independent studies were showing us. And I'm really glad to say, I believe most of us stayed pretty healthy, especially with some of the hygiene type and sanitation type practices that were in place. Right now, I got word and confirmation, we are back to soap and water. So wash your boats, but no need to do the in-depth cleaning. We still have a couple of the supplies. Use them if you're comfortable and happier to do that, but they will not be refilled at this juncture. I also wanted to say, if you may have seen me here a couple times in the afternoon, we have a new partnership with an environmental studies class with Georgetown University, where basically it's just half an hour, where this one class will come and take water samples off of our dock. And it's really cool. They haven't shared any data with us. It's really just exposing undergraduate kids to just learning about different types of environmental and sustainable type practice and studies. And I just think it's a really cool thing that we've developed. And it just happened because DC Water closed off them climbing on the rocks to get the water samples. So that's a really neat partnership. And then another partnership that may be in the works right now is my partner Josh saved a beaver. So yeah, It's amazing. Well, nature's engineers, come on. Well, he saved a beaver, and it got me really excited when DC City Wildlife Rehab they shared updates on their Instagram. I called her Little Francesca. She's a juvenile beaver, and I just said, if she's in shape to be released, would you like to release her off PBC's dock? Yeah. And that's a no, because she was in really bad shape, actually. Lacerations, infections, but she's on the mend. But she went to another rescue rehabber that had better care. However, DC Wildlife said, "But could you be a release site for us, for birds and wildlife?" And I said, "Let's talk." So it's these kinds of cool partnerships that we may be developing, that if we can give back to our environment, I think that's a really neat way to go. So just wanted to share those types of partnerships. And it's all because Josh was grumpy and went on a walk and saw that beaver. So anyway, so that's just the cool parts of what we're doing and what we're working on and what we're hustling on behalf of PBC to really kind of bring our name, our brand, and our legacy to an even better place. Real quick, with the condition assessment and the house, we are also now formally in a partnership. Jim Priest is not here, but we are formally in a partnership with Georgetown University as they are working on their boathouse. And Steve can maybe speak to that a little bit better, but we're working with them for a reinforced seawall. So as you guys heard a year ago, the grim, oh my God, Nick Woodfield and I saw the roots sticking out. The good news is, fortunately, Georgetown University took that land and signed an agreement. And that's when we were like, hey, can we weasel in and work with you guys to just really build out a more reinforced wall? Because Eric Myers and I had chatted about what do we do about that. So I feel that was kind of a neat, little blessing to come about, because now I think we can really secure our seawall and kind of really help lessen our worries about the gaps that we've been seeing in the house. Any questions on that? Okay, moving on. So as you know, at the end of 2024, we got the little surprise with Washington Liberty saying we're going. And that's okay. It's fairly well. I think they're thriving and they're doing great. But that shifted our budget focus in 2025 a little to make sure that we kept our programs going. And so with some of the finagling and the budget, we did put a lot of money of 2025 towards making sure our programs are in place. We did delay and we reworked the fleet to basically say, okay, and try to figure out how to prioritize to make sure we keep our programs on the water. So now that we've got that in place, and now that we've got that spend kind of now in a nice little level pattern, we are now going back to the house again for 2026. We still really did make those house improvements, as you know, with the condition assessment, as you know, with the seawall and the talks with that. But now we get to, and I'm not going to steal his thunder, kind of refocus back on the house for 2026. And that's also going to shape our 2027 focus. But again, more to come between Dale, Steve, and a couple updates that we've got. I'm going to hand a few minutes over to Kamiar right there. He is going to talk about a new opportunity that you probably saw come across the email with a new club suite group.
Thank you. Question.
Did you expect that?
In conversations I've had with people over this time, it seemed like there were a lot of people who wanted to go out and force rates, but didn't want to make the grow competitive. I being one of them. And I've been in clubs in other places where that was an option. So in January, I began talking to the board about what that might look like. The board was supportive about starting to move forward. And so what we're going to try to do is this summer, so in 4 or 6 weeks, begin a pilot program where you can sign up to go out together in boats to do street rowing. I sent a questionnaire out about 2 or 3 weeks ago. To date, I've had 45 positive responses. So people who are interested in doing it. So that's a good number. There are things to be worked out logistically, so we need to make sure that we do this in a way so that it's not coming in the way of following foul of any competitive programs, of course. It's being done in a safe way and consistent with the club norms. If you've had the survey but have not responded and are interested, please go back into your emails and respond. If you've not seen the survey and are interested, please come and talk to me. So Laura Wigglesworth and Juanita Rilling have also been helping to set this up. So if you know them, you don't know, chat to them about the survey. We'll do this for a couple of months in summer and see how it goes. Do an evaluation at the end. We'll present it to the board and see what happens going forward. So thanks to the board for the support. Thanks to Lauren Schumer for her support as well. And if you're interested and haven't indicated your interest yet, please comment. Thank you. Yeah.
Just shifting into a little bit more recognition on individuals and people and some news. Really cool things when we look at the PBC Juniors program and who's gone through it, who's been a part of it, and who's coached it. Because as you see here, we got Aiden. If you don't know Aiden Wren, Chad Youngblo's stepdaughter and Penelope Wren's daughter, she made the Cambridge boat for the boat race and just competed last week. It was really exciting to see her keep going on to that international stage.
In stroke seat.
In stroke seat too. She looked really strong and good the entire 6,800 meters. I probably would have looked like 4th seat in the Oxford boat, even though they won, but yeah, Aiden looked amazing. But also in terms of kind of like shifting from former PBC juniors to what's actually happening. Number one, I mean, kind of getting bored with this kid, Tony Madigan, man. God. He just has a huge. I just wanted to share wonderful news that Tony Madigan was invited to the U23 team. So that's really great news. I mean, Matt, 18, right? He's 18. So he's going to be competing against some kids who have been in collegiate programs and even beyond. And so it's really exciting to see him move there. And even bigger news, Carol Dinian was named to the U.S. rowing coaching team for the U19 for this summer.
People that are part of PBC one way or another that are still on this for that camp. So 3 out of 8 are still on wages as part of PBC.
Yeah. So yeah. So I'll just say, Carol's leadership. We got Matt, we got Val, we have Katana. We've got the U23, we got Pam, we got Kevin Bedell. It is such a really rich and knowledgeable coaching staff, and it's no wonder, right? So congratulations, Carol, on that. So I'm a little selfishly upset about the summer because I don't know what that's going to look like without her, but I also know I know it's in good hands, and she's really mentored people, and that's the really cool thing to watch Carol do is see some of our junior rowers come back as adults and fulfilling coaching roles. So I'm really excited about that, and thank you.
Greg Wild also.
Grant, is he on the U23? Grant Wads. So Grant Wads was also a PBC junior, and he has also been part of kind of off and on with our U23 or coming through in the summer, coming back to train, and he's invited to the U23 program. So that's really great.
I shouldn't say, yeah.
All right, Uncle Mark maybe is for sure. Well, we'll just say yay. Okay. Yay. Okay, that's okay. That's okay, because even to get to that is just such a level that I couldn't make it and I wanted to. So it's fantastic and good news. And it just also feeds into what we develop and what we hone in on here at PBC. Our future members, we hope. Come on. So, okay, next up is the governors and the committee chairs. You're going to hear a couple bits of turnover or expansions with the governors and committee chairs. It was actually a tough winter, going through some really hard conversations with one another when it comes to money, when it comes to the future of PBC. As you know, we talked about the Constitution and our identity, and it all feeds into those tough conversations we had to have together. And of course, I broke down a couple times. They had to witness me just like either be mad or like start crying. And so with that, though, I'm thankful and appreciative that I can be that way and we can have these healthy conversations, whether they're uncomfortable, awkward, or not. But it really just shows that we collaborate, we do partner, we do listen. We may not always agree. We have different philosophies. We have different beliefs in how to approach things and different practices, but it really just kind of works. We've had such a strong group for a couple years now. And so I do want to thank Stu Kerr and Gata, as well as Jose, who's rerunning, but then also Allison for their time and their commitment and their guidance, because I don't know everything and I need a sounding board. And I appreciate having these people here. It makes me sad to lose them as I'm entering one last year on the board. But I just wanted to really thank them for that time and commitment that they gave to PBC. And I really hope you guys appreciate their time and commitment. When it comes to the committee chairs, they're going to give their reports, they'll give their updates, but as well as the float team. But again, just really, they're the ones that keep this place running. They're the ones that kind of keep a pulse and help and make sure we keep getting on the water. So I think some of us take that for granted. Kind of like the Bob Ferguson note about he just kept the boats going, right? And we probably had no clue how much time and commitment he spent in fixing every little thing, even though I know how much James is here. And I know how much Lauren's here. But it's these committee chairs that keep the lights on, that keep the holes in place, that keep the oars going, and everything fixed. So I really appreciate all the committee chairs and all that they do for PBC. Next up, I also want to recognize you guys as members. It's not easy to have some of these conversations. Also, I really appreciate the thoughtfulness that people have when they approach each of us. We do talk and share, what we're all hearing. And that just also means you guys are engaged. Would I love to see more engagement? Yeah, because don't forget, you need to do 10 hours of volunteer service. And I know some of you guys don't do that, but please, if you have a skill or if you have time, be a part of it and help us take action, because this is an all volunteer run organization. I don't know how many times I will call Comcast or Pepco or something, and they always say, oh, well, we could have someone on site, because they just think we have employees all day long. And I always have to tell them no one's here, and it really baffles their mind. But then that's also the brilliance of PBC. It is an all volunteer run club, and yet it's still standing 157 years. So thank you to the membership on that. And last, I always save the best for last. I didn't see Ed Crocker. I did see Marcus, but I wanted to thank Potomac River Boathouse Foundation for their constant support. I have pinged Rebecca Soja and DeAndre about some of the upgrades we want to make when it comes to the fire suppression system. And they are a good sounding board. They let us pitch them ideas. They say no. They also say yes and give us a nice check. Sometimes they don't. But it's without the Potomac River Boathouse Foundation, we cannot do some of these major projects without them. So it's their campaign efforts. It's some of our membership as well as external members giving to the foundation, and that comes right back to this house. So without them, we can't be doing what we are doing. So thank you. All right. So the one good thing I always get to deliver is, as the role as president, we get to recognize a volunteer, and we call it the Bleed Red Award that Ed Ryan came up with many years ago. But I think it's a really fantastic way to really kind of thank someone for that volunteership, for that stewardship, for giving their time. And so I'm really glad to just kind of finally put forward someone I think who's been very deserving of this. This individual was a member of Potomac for at least since the 80s, I'm pretty sure. Always kind of doing stuff in the background. But then when COVID came along, and then when DEI became something we needed to talk about and think about, Barb Ryan tapped this individual to lead our DEI council. They weren't the greatest conversations. They were eye-opening conversations. And it was something that, she stepped into and really looked and learned about all the different types of facets. Unfortunately, the DEI council kind of actually died off, meaning people weren't attending the meetings anymore. And some of the ideas we had couldn't be done just by one person alone. But I remember the continued conversations on where do we keep going with it? Do we keep it up? Can she hand it off to someone else? And, just sadly, as most things go, things kind of shift and move on, or priorities change. But I still think about the 2 to 3 years of the thoughtfulness she gave and the leadership she showed in trying to drive conversations at PBC for us. Also, this individual is constantly here at all of our social events, setting up. And if you didn't see her today, she was outside actually shucking the oysters for us. And so without Diane Poole, not being able to have her. Now, I don't know where Diane went. I don't see her. She left. Okay. She had a dinner, so she missed it. Yeah, she'll be very excited. I live near her. Diane has just been a long-time member. She rose her single, and she's just one of those wonderful, thoughtful individuals. And she has just consistently been available to help out wherever we need her. And so I just thought if anyone deserves this, it is Diane Poole. So let's just congratulate her. All right. So moving on, I'm going to let Steve take the mic for a sec and do treasurer.
See everybody. Hey, Carol. Hey, all right. This will be brief because there's a lot to be discussed tonight. Online, I posted 2 docs. I think Nina sent out links to those. You should take a look at them. The 2 documents are the budget for 26, 2-page document, but you'll see the farthest left-hand column with the numbers. It's our budget for the year against all the respective line items. And then you see the forecast for the next 10 years. Those are, it's just a projection based on what I think 26 is going to be. But you can see how the bottom line, fluctuates year over year, and some of the assumptions we made. The boat turnover plan is sort of baked in. a living and breathing document. The budget for 26 holds outer years change as discussions every month happen on the board about, oh, we got to do this. And we plug in the fact that we probably
Yeah, that was me. Guilty as charged.
2032. You'll see that in the outer years of an expense that we're going to have to incur. I encourage you to take a look at that and see how we're managing forecast. Also on there is what we submitted to the tax folks that are submit the 90s on our behalf. We hired them a year ago, and it's truly helpful. And with the help of the finance committee to make sure we're doing all that stuff on time. And it's relatively inexpensive and worth the investment. So what you'll see in that document is our balance sheet from 25 and how we landed in 25. So if you have any questions about what's in those documents, send them to me by maybe 6 o'clock this evening, because there'll probably be another treasure that you can send all your questions to. Yeah. But just a quick hit. So B of A, our current cash that we have in the bank right now, 126K. Fidelity, good. It's good cash. We've had a lot of expenses in the front half of the year, which we normally do. 85K went to new boats. Thank you, Jim. Here to talk about new boats. I won't steal your thunder. Hull insurance, $23,000 a year to insure our fleet. First half of taxes we paid this year, 13K. We paid $26,000 to District of Columbia a year for our property taxes. We had some repairs we had to do to some of the hulls, about 7K. All this is budgeted for. We bought some new engines, right? About $5,000 to help support the float move. Those are ours now, and we can use those year over year. It's great. In the second half of the year, the big expenses will be, again, the second half of our tax. Our insurance for the house really is $25,000 on the second. Fidelity, we have $265,000. That's composed of our capital reserve, which is 176K. Our emergency fund that's sitting at about 26K, and the Challenger fund, which is solely for the use of right now funding certain athletes or aspects related to the head of the Charles. So if you have any questions about the Challenger fund, you can always reach out to me or the board. And then quickly, Lena talked about the arrangement with Georgetown and the seawall. That it's going to be about a $45,000 design that PRBF in principle has agreed to support half of that. We don't have it actually writing yet. I think there's a little bit more homework that needs to be done, but that is also budgeted for, and I don't know when that scope is going to be completed. That is really all I had. I know the big thing I'm going to say, but I don't want to steal Dale's thunder, is that, as the note that I put out to the membership talked about the dues increase from 4 years ago. And it's great because it was phased. It wasn't all at once, but here we are in 26, when we always said in 26, we're going to be able to start to see that money get used or get saved. And I believe that we are in a position that we're going to be starting to save at a minimum 100K a year to go towards the house, which was the plan. And Dale's going to talk about that a little bit more. So that is all I had. Any questions for the treasurer? All right, Lena.
He did a ton of work. I was the one who convinced him to push out another year last year. And I'm really sorry about that, because it was just, he's the type of person that doesn't know how to say no, right? But it's been amazing with all that he has carried and done. And so this is why we as a board understood, yeah, you could, we'll have to rally someone else. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of responsibility. And the type of long-term view he continues to have, the type of forecasting he tends to do, and work with the finance committee on our investments to make sure, PRBF as well as our investments kind of keep growing. It's been pretty amazing, and I really appreciate your work on this. Thank you. All right, before anyone complains and says, I don't know where the documents are, I put a little bubble right here on the screen. So if you log into PotomacBoatClub.org, it's on the website. Go to the member section along the navigation bar, and in the drop down, you will see document repository. Now, I did look. It's a mess right now. People kind of put things in the wrong areas. So we will be shifting things around, but if you are patient enough to click a couple of the subfolders, you will be able to find these documents, probably many other documents you never wanted to look at, but they're all there loaded in the document repository. And again, it is accessible on our Potomac website where you pay your annual dues under the member section document repository. Any questions on that?
Thank you for sending out the link. Both of you.
Yeah. All right, shifting. Going to shift over to the club committee reports, but I slid in the float captain's report first. So I'm going to have Andrew go. And Nimbus.
All right. We've already highlighted some of the things in other reports to talk about, but just to highlight some of the things that have been done. We bought some new engines. Huge thanks to the board for approving that. It's been needed for a while, and now we have some engines that were built in this century. So they're great. One of the things that have been happening in the past year or two, reinforcement of the docks. We switched from high bolts to a little stronger now. You see the steel bits at the end. We built a new finger dock. That's all it highlights. Lena already touched on a little bit, the cleaning and pipeline procedures. Now it's just based off the best judgment. There's no restrictions anymore in case anyone didn't see the notice I put out, but now it's just best judgment. There are cleaning supplies downstairs if you so wish to use them, just as best practice, but not required. Cutoffs for launching and bore rule. I just should have seen the email, but that's no longer in place. Everything's all good, so you can launch as you wish. If you want to see the guidelines I have published, there are guidelines for cutoffs in spring on spring and spring on spring. Those are available. If you haven't seen those, just shoot me an email and I can send those over. Bigger news. Chris and I have decided that we are done and time to turn it over. So this is your 6-month notice. If anyone is interested in running for float or also first lieutenant, just shoot me a message, let me know, and we can start filling you in on all the various things that float does, because it's a lot. Until then, we'll be full steam ahead working on some identified repairs. Some of you may have noticed that there are certain sections sagging a little bit, shouldn't be. So we'll be working on that. And after October, to quote one of my favorite novels, so long and thanks for all the fish. Yeah, that's all I got. It's worth.
I did want to make a quick note. I think Nick Woodfield and then Andrew and Chris slid into the float captain roles at probably one of the more difficult times, because Nick Woodfield had to oversee the new ramps coming in. And after 2 years of that, his wife said, "You will not be float captain again." And then Andrew and Chris Conroy, and they now know I did nominate them 2 years in a row. Even last year when they said no, they still said yes. But this is probably a difficult role. I know a couple people will send emails whenever you get the dock closing, and of course you're grumpy because you want to row. But I want to remind everyone the role of the float captain is to ensure the safety on the water for our membership. It is not worth the liability for you to go just because the water looks nice and flat after a massive storm that and the flood levels were high and just went down. When they are looking at the flow rate, they are looking at the conditions, and they're getting the reports. And so there may be a lot of things you may not understand why they're closing it down, but there's a lot of data, there's a lot of science, there's a lot of information. They're really making these considerations before they send that email out. So knowing that, if you're interested, Stephen Fondries or anyone else, to be float captain or be on the float team, Stephen Fondries. You know, just nudging a couple things in place. Just think about it. If it's something that you would be interested in trying to help oversee, be a part of the team. It's not just about the dock move. While that gives most of the float team headaches or heart attacks, it's a lot that goes into the safety for the club. And so I do thank Andrew and Chris for taking that for the past couple of years. And that's why they got the bleed red last year. And it obviously didn't work to convince them to do another year for me. So whatever. But I accept. So think about it, please, and ask them any questions if it does pique your interest in helping there. With that, I want to shift over to the next sexy topic, right? As you can see on the screen, there's some really nice little gear items, and you guys have probably been really excited to see some cool items to purchase, to wear and flash around. And that's because of the next person who's going to speak, Chris Helminski on branding committee.
Here. A few things on the to announce. So we've taken all our back for the past few years, digitalized them, put them in a gallery, put them in a timeline, so you can click on each day, see when things were ordered, and then also say, I liked it, I would like to reorder it, I have complaints about it, and or request something new. So I'll share the URL. I couldn't put it in Club Express because it's stripped down all my JS stuff. But I had it in the GitHub, give you a link, so you can do that. So it's like, it's what I want, add people who've done it the past few years. And speaking of new stuff, so that's like two big things. We're waiting approval from the board, but we finally got our new Pro. Four of them size, so that you can try them on. So I know that like all this stuff, small. But anyways, so we have been. Yeah. So the idea of 776, we have these new units, around, is that we're gonna have like 3 scores throughout the year. Like a base score somewhere in the middle. If you order 3 items, you get 20% off. So it's like, ooh, this stuff is not cheap, but at least, a little bit. And that's pretty much it. So we'll be doing other orders. Tell us what you want, tell us what you don't want, tell us about how disappointed you were with this last beauty order we did, 776. Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Any questions?
Yes, one online. When will PBC t-shirts be ordered again?
T-shirts.
Which t-shirt?
So we have a form, put it in there, and so basically we're gonna, so if you say you want something, you can tick on it, people can say, I also want to hit that. If we hit a minimum, like, so we'll have to put some rules around this, but it's gonna be, so the form will also be linked off the validated time.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, moving on. Next committee report, club rowing.
First and foremost, I always want to thank the incredible volunteers on the club committee. Absolutely the coolest committee out there. Second Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. Please show up for a work day. There will be treats. Always a good thing. So beyond that, a couple updates that I'll say is I need to ask for a co-chair because I've taken on a new job that's reduced my time to the boathouse. So Rob Nauer stepped up. He and I will help. Rob had to leave unfortunately, so can't thank him in person, but kind of generally just so people understand, Rob will manage a lot of the kind of at the house stuff. So tests for new members, the certification tests for sculling, work days, and kind of ad hoc obviously is still around and still helping us. And Hank, which you could have been here, but is sick today as well. So unfortunately, we don't hear from him. But between Rob, Hank, and I will make sure that the club fleet stays in good condition. I think the second big thing would be the boat turnover. So first and foremost, my apologies to all the members that like to row the light midweight singles that have been conspicuously missing. So we're down a couple boats right now, but that's because the board graciously allowed for us to turn over 4 boats and add a 5th one to the fleet. So our club fleet is growing by 1 single this year. My goal has been to get the club fleet on a 7-year turnover plan. So every club boat will be no older than 7 years. We have really nice coats, if you haven't noticed. I don't think any other club in the nation has the quality of fleet we have available just for members. So my plug is always this: please row the boats. I do my best to loan them out when the juniors or when other programs need them, because we didn't buy them for them to look pretty on the rack. We bought them to be out on the river and be getting used. So with the new boats, I want to talk about the naming of the boats. I have them here to dedicate them, but unfortunately they're I think about 2.5 weeks out from Italy. So we bought 5 Philippies. We bought a quad, a lightweight quad, a lightweight double. We bought 2 replacement light midweight singles, and then we increased our midweight singles by 1, so there will be 3 in that weight class now. The singles, the light midweight ones will remain the Sparrow and the Magpie, just 3, so Sparrow 3, Magpie 3. The new midweight single will be the Osprey, keeping with the bird theme. The quad, I sold the Cal Sutliff with kind of a little bit of a sad feeling that it was time for it to be turned over, but I want to announce that we will be naming the new quad also the Cal Sutliff. Last but not least, the double, the lightweight double was sold to John Lavery. I had a really cool name picked out. You can tell that I like the bird names he had set. That won't come in years future, hopefully. But Hank reached out to me, and he was really close with Bob Crunch. And I wish he could be here to speak a bit. Lena did a great job of talking about Bob, but it seemed like it just wouldn't be right to not name a boat after Bob. So, because Bob did a ton for the Club Rowing Committee and beyond the time, the thing that Lena didn't mention is he taught a lot of people how to do skills. So he made sure that those skills passed through the committee. And so I'm really proud to say that the last boat is first.
Usually when a chair says they got to step down, it's like, cool. But I really thank Rob for letting James stay. So I know Rob's not here, but James, thank you for still sticking it out, since you've done so much work. And again, just to highlight one thing he said was the certifications for sculling. We didn't have that, right? So if someone became a member, they just got on the water. And that can be really dangerous, especially if they don't know the rocks, they don't know the river patterns. You know, we all experience, and we still do, people kind of like all over the place. And it's a little scary. So it's like you got to have your head on a swivel. Since James came on, he is welcoming every single person, as well as members who are switching or trying to better or even get back into their singles, and really raising the bar in terms of making sure that people who use the CRC singles are experienced or knowledgeable on how to handle it. So I really thank you for that. It's been huge. All right. So did Jim send a report for finance? All right. The finances are existing. So, yay. All right. Dale Didion. House Committee. Oh.
I have three things for you. The first, the social committee, really just. It came from Delaware Bay. Okay, well, I can see you're all on the bus. Okay. Thank you, Mike. So, the House Committee, we're dedicated to three things: renovation, restoration, and relaxation. So the house is in decent shape. We're always repairing something, lights, raccoon destruction, things like that. But we're moving into a really new phase. The next 3 to 4 years, due to the boards really watching the budget and building, Steve especially, the budget, we're going to have money set aside to do Preservation 2.0. This is really huge for our house. We'll expand the women's locker room. It'll move out the men's locker room. It'll have a decent place to work out here. You come here for all of your needs. And so that is something we're looking forward to and building towards the future. The last thing I want to say is I need a couple new members. One, Adam signed up today on the House Committee. Two, we're taking new members. Steve, what are you going to do after leaving the board?
Go to Disney World.
Oh, yeah, you are going to get rid of it. Okay, so anybody wants to do that? And three, you're going to see a new thing. We're going to get rid of these barbecue grills we have out here, the ones with gas and hot briquettes. We're going to put in a really nice gas grill for you all. It's got a timer on it. So I hope you really, really use that. And that's the relaxation. Thank you very much for all your support.
And as a reminder, that will be the only open flame allowed. Because unfortunately, we've had to deal with some members who have had open flame issues. And again, as a reminder to people, no propane tanks, no solo stoves, no candles, nothing. We are a wood structure. And so we would like to stay here. And so any open flame items is a big no-no. Because sadly, that's come up a couple times recently. All right, moving on. Dana, whoop. Membership.
And I had just brought in 21. People who have been on teams waiting patiently for 3 years. So I would say 17 senior members. Most of them are patiently waiting sweepers and scholars who have made senior membership. The others are college non-residents, people who came through the juniors program. One person who just had a baby and so is an associate for the first year of membership and next year will be. But we are right at the cap and but we're still 3 years behind in the wait. So that's the news.
Yeah. So one thing I want to point out that while we say 3 years, Dana, how many offers does it take you to get 20 acceptances?
This time I made something like 70 offers to get.
Yeah. So we may, you know, some people will be like, oh no, you know, like it's 3 years. But when we get 10 spots, when we get 20 spots, Dana is the membership, and Pam did it, Carol did it, Barb did it. They are going through that list just to get the 10, 20 acceptances. And so while it does sound daunting, it's based on the date. However, it's not just on the number. So we're going through those numbers pretty quickly. If you can hear 70 just to get 20, we are moving through it, just unfortunately. Yeah.
Yes.
I waited 5 years, so I hit a bad point. You know, when there was a like bottleneck for sure. But yeah, while it's a little painful, it's rewarding once you get it. It's like you won the lotto for some reason. But anyway, all right. Moving on is Lauren Schumer, Race Committee.
So, the racing committee sort of has 4 new votes, although technically sort of also only 1. So there are 3 singles that we've been using and have now been officially donated to the racing committee, as well as one that the Potomac Scullers purchased. So as part of our fleet, so they are and we've renamed them all so that they now have new fantastic names: the Gazelle, the Falcon, the Goose, and the Listivka, which is Ukrainian for the swallow. But they are not because they're full bird names. So the Gazelle boat, we've got the Gazelle and the Falcon, and Gazelle Boat Club and Falcon Boat Club were 2 of the earliest DC boat clubs on record. Both existed in around the 1840s, and Falcon stayed around until the start of the Civil War. And then the Goose is a companion for the Swan that we have. So the Swan is named because Potomac, which is the Algonquian name for the lower tidal part of the river, was often thought to mean river of swans. And so above Great Falls, the river was called, and I'm going to get this wrong, so pardon with anyone who is a native Algonquian speaker, Kalhangaruthi, which means honking goose. So we have the goose and the swan for the upper and lower portions. And then as for the Listivka, in Ukrainian culture, the swallow is a deeply revered symbol of spring and rebirth and happiness and good news. And as a harbinger of warmer and brighter days, it signifies the end of winter, fostering hope and renewal. And swallows are cherished as symbols of family, loyalty, and protection, and are believed to bring prosperity to homes where they nest. And it was very meaningful to the members of Potomac Scullers that the hull that they purchased outright for the RC fleet also honored Vlad Pavlovsky, their coach, for all that he did for the team. And so we are very grateful to him and also to the Scullers for that purchase. So on to the racing committee by the number. So for this, I'm going to apologize in advance because I'm borrowing both from Dale for his previous audience participation efforts in his reports and from Problematic Faith Love Actuals. So 34,124 and 167,937.
Those are the lowest and highest U.S. among member numbers at the racing committee meetings.
52.
Number of rowers and costumes on men's sweep roster.
32.
Number of rowers on the women's sweep team roster.
15.
Number of amazing rowers on the Potomac Scullers roster.
Yeah.
Number of athletes in our winter, spring, fall U19 programs.
75 and 32.
Number of applications received so far and the number of spots available in the summer U19 program.
15 and 16.
Applications received so far and number of spots available in our summer U23 program.
4 and 26.
Number of races completed already and the number of remaining regattas that we PBC teams will wear the star this year.
3,852.
The distance between Potomac Boat Club and ASR Nereus in Amsterdam were 5 PBC 8s raced at the Heineken Regatta.
Former PBCers who competed in the boat race.
Right. 8.
Jeremy entries ahead of Charles.
91.
The volunteers of experience among our amazing coaches.
1.
Coach name to the coaching staff. The 2026
Projected total number of hours of use for the launches this year.
$5.20.
Guard price per gallon for ethanol, free gas,
Five and seven. Days. PBC's very first race won in a boat named the Meteor.
Hours since PBC's last race, which we won in a boat named the Meteor.
100 years ago, last week, that PBC defeated our arch rival, Washington Free Club, for the River Basketball Championship. 100 years ago this coming week, that PBC reached the Nautilus Ducking League Championship, out bowling 9 other human voting clubs. And 100% of the time that racing city team members and volunteers regardless of rain, heat, or snow, or ice, or wind, or early morning darkness, or stupid. 100% that the support that the 100% of the racing city program rowers red.
Yeah.
100% support that the teams receive from the board and from the club. Almost 5 years that I've been the racing committee chair. Zero times that you will have to sit through another report from me. How much I love being chair and how grateful I am to all of the athletes. Any of those things, I am incredibly and deeply grateful, and
So, real quick, Lauren was basically tossed into the role almost 5 years ago. And then she just went 100% in, like full throttle. But I will say what she's brought is, even better safe sport compliance. She's streamlined our coaching background checks, our contracts. She also got the teams to work on a day-to-day together. It's been exceptional to see the connection and the build that has occurred amongst these teams. And I even helped bring a team that unfortunately had to go away, but it was like she's involved in all those steps and in all the programs. So with that, Emily Schmieg has agreed to be the next race committee chair. Big shoes to fill, a lot to do, but they will be working on a transition program. But just want to thank Lauren again for that level of work that she gave to PBC. And I highly doubt it ends there. So anyway, thank you. All right. Next up is Regatta Committee, Carol Dinian. Yeah. Yeah.
next year. Steve Saunders is off, and I'm sure was as well. I would like to transition out of regatta chair, so that's my goal. I think we have it on autopilot at this place, so thanks to all of you for your help with marshaling, and we have a really nice system for setup of the buoys. We're not paying $8,000 for that anymore. We have our own buoys. We have a guy who does that. TBC, I'm good friends with people down there. So we really have a great relationship. We have incorporated the cost into shutting down Cooper's Boathouse, as well as Thompson's Boat Center, so there are fewer kayaks on the water. So really, I think it runs pretty smoothly. We're always happy to take feedback and questions, comments, concerns. But other than that, just sign up to volunteer.
Yeah.
Carol made it a profitable regatta.
Right.
Thank you, Carol.
Yeah, so I'm really glad Carol has been doing the regatta. It is, Lauren did it, Tom Overs did it, Peter Clemens did it. It's not fun, but it ends up being such a great regatta, and it's such a fall starter for all programs across this river. And it's just so unfortunate that we are a little limited in who can actually participate, due to the space that is offered for parking at PBC. But even with that, like Steve said, we still made it profitable, which is amazing. So thank you for all that time. Stephen, Elizabeth, I mean, personally, I think Elizabeth maybe should chair it and then Stephen could do float, but that's just my thought. Just kind of planting the seed early. Anyway, Stephen, just gonna keep saying your name. All right, moving on. Security Safety Committee. George Kirschbaum could not be here, so he sent the report. Oh my God. Communications, Sean Bamman. I'm sorry. Where are you? I skipped you. I'm so sorry. Okay. I love you. Okay. Sorry.
When become the chair, then I missed juniors growing, and we had Blade newsletter bringing back the Blade in a key format. Hopefully release next week. Fingers crossed. Let's do. Guys, we realized the website needs to be updated. We realized we can also live with it for another year or so. So we're going to save the money next year. And that's all I got.
Okay. So regarding the Blade, Peter Clemens actually just threw in the towel, and it was the same thing that Brad Williamson as well as Sean have experienced, that they've been really trying to build this newsletter to really highlight membership or updates or what's going on. I also failed to do this one thing. If you get an email from them about the Blade, reply, because that's what it's for. They want to build this newsletter to kind of share more about the community, because we don't get to see each other every day. And this is just another great way to keep us informed and also learn about one another. It's a great networking tool, but also just, a fun thing that we want to bring back. So if you get an email just saying, hey, would you be interested in answering a couple questions and be highlighted, please say yes and answer back. There's nothing. Anyway. All right, back. Security Safety Committee from George. As we enter spring 2026, the Safety and Security Committee is happy to report that the issues facing our committee and the club have had minimal impact on the membership as a whole. We have had a few trespassers who have accessed the building well after regular hours and have neither caused any damage nor stolen any items. We are looking at ways to eliminate access through the entry points, but we may be at our limits in terms of physical security. It is a reminder that we need everyone to make the extra effort to close and lock doors and windows. Consider yourself the last one out whenever you leave. If you do not see others in the building, also keep your personal items out of sight and locked away, just again with the theory of the last one out. Access to the building during power outages is a concern, and we are actively exploring methods to power systems, including lighting for several days in the event of an outage. If anyone has experience setting up whole home battery backup systems, please contact George or Sean Bammon. We'd love to hear about your experiences. Beyond those two items, our regular systems are up to date and being evaluated regularly for ways to improve functionality and reliability. Our trusted concessionaires continue to inspire confidence that we have chosen the right people to help us manage the safety of our building and membership. It is a continued learning and improvement effort for everyone. Part of our effort continues to be improving our fire suppression systems to protect our treasured building. That discussion and planning are also ongoing. Thanks to Lena and the board, Sean Bammon, Eric Edmonds, Mile Fawcett, and Joey Seal for the committee, George. Just wanted to let you guys know, even if it's not something we left out, a couple weeks ago on the cameras, we just saw two guys kayaking across the river at 2 in the morning and coming onto our docks, walking through, left the kayak on the upper patio and just walked out. Maybe it might be there. We had a blue kayak sitting out there, but this was a different blue and white kayak that they rolled up in. But it's just, people are outside and hanging out at all hours. And the odd thing is, an hour later that night, a different group of people came around the townhomes and came around the wall and came out of the house. So things are happening. And this is where it's like we could do our best in the front, but we also have some security concerns off the river. It's not just the geese or the raccoons right now. It's like actual human beings coming and somehow accessing, but also knowing how to get around our house. It's a little creepy. So just head on a swivel, lock up, please. We've come here in the day, we've come here in the evenings, see lights on in the morning. It's daylight. I see the windows and the doors still open because everyone just assumes someone else is here. Just think you're the last one out and you're going to close up. Okay. All right. Last but not least, social committee, Virginia.
Creative, hospitable, hardworking committee members. So stand up, let everyone see who you are. You want round of applause posted like report, but also on the monitor. We also have it online on our calendars so that you plan ahead and put our parties on your calendars. Invite. We appreciate your being here, and we have a lot more stuff planned for you for the rest of the year. Thanks again for being here. Thanks so much for
Okay, before moving on, anything for the committee chair? All right. Stephen Fondry's looking at you. All right. Okay. Before we shift to the elections, because I never know if I'm going to be president again, so I want to get these reminders out before. Real quick, volunteer hours. If you are a member, you are required to do 10 hours. If that means doing 2 minutes of pulling trash to the street on Mondays and Thursdays, and then also taking the trash bins back, that will help Andrea and Virginia from asking someone to take the trash out. So please get your 10 hours in. If you don't know how, ask. All right. Main doc is back, as you know, and so that means starting now, Mark Wads is following you if you own a private single to make sure you get your 20 rows in. If you have any medical issues or any injuries or some circumstance that you cannot get your rows in, please be sure to reach out to Mark to let him know, and don't wait until November to say, but I was sick, because to him, it's like, okay, you could have told me that earlier. So please make sure you get that done so we don't have difficult conversations at the end of the year. Get your single meters logged into iCrew to see if you can beat Garrett Rasmussen. because he's already been out there logging the meters. He's way ahead of everybody. And again, as a reminder, board meeting minutes, governing documents, treasurer reports, everything is in the document repository under the members section once you log into the website, so you can access that information. Please do not say you don't know where to go. I will say it again. I will post it and share it. Any questions and answers for this board before we shift to the election results?
Yeah, Ed's not here, but we still want your money, and I told him.
We want money being sent to Potomac River Boathouse Foundation.
Right. So Ed is not here, and Ed is way better at doing.
Yes, he is.
I'm also on the board of the Potomac River Foundation, and we love our house, and we wanted to stay here. We wanted to be here 100 years from now. So the Potomac River Boathouse Foundation is your current 501c3 opportunity to help keep this boathouse moving. Standing out on the porch today, I thought, aren't we glad we know that it's not going to fall off the front of the house?
Yeah.
We usually do a winter letter that is when we get the most of our money, but I like the giving day. We'll have a PRBF giving day today sometime, so we'll talk about that. The other thing is, you don't have to wait until you get Ed's letter in November to say, let's send some money. You can do it every month. And you can also make arrangements in your estate if you would like, because it takes a lot of money to keep this thing going. So, look for future communication, and we got Potomac River Boathouse Foundation.org is our website, and you can donate there. We're also going to be updating that so you can have it, make it easier for you to get that money out of your pocket that's burning hole right now. So thank you. Don't forget about us.
Honestly, if you're part of a men's leisure program, your college program, get to PRBF.
I want to add one thing.
Yeah, go for it.
So we had a board member that was Gretchen Fagel, who knew more about this boathouse than anybody in probably the last 100 years. There was a lot too. She died suddenly last year, and we have been left without our historic expert architect that knows what to do. We have Rebecca's on the board, DeAndre's on the board. I am just the person that has been here a long time on the board. So we were without that expertise for a while, but we are pleased to say that we now have Richard Williams, who is a former member of the golf club, and his wife, he's an architect, and his wife, Proper Williams. She's a historic architect. If you've ever seen the Hidden Alleys of Washington, she wrote that book. They got married here, so they are not going to be board members, but they're people that love this house. They're going to be our bounce it off, so that when we get a proposal from Steve or from the future board, we'll be able to say yes, of course. Our mission is for the historic boathouse, not over there. Things that keep it looking appropriate and functional. So I just wanted to make that announcement. Some of you may remember Richard. So that's wonderful news. Thanks.
All right, thank you. So be on the lookout for PRBF Giving Day. We're just going to steal some ideas. All right. Any other questions? All right. Johnny, you are up.
Thanks for everyone who made the board. Just a reminder, we've got 3 seats as part of the national turnover. So top 3 co-chairs were elected that are elected for your term. Allison's also stepping down, so the 4th highest person total being elected for a 2-year term. So the people who ran who've been elected for your terms: Ron Gammon, Jose Carrasco, and Dick Newton. And we don't know what's voted for the 2-year term. So congrats.
Yeah, so let's switch out. So, yeah. It like hurts my heart.
Sorry, guys. Sean Hannon, Nick Gilbert, and Jose Carrasco are getting highest votes for your full terms. We don't vote at the 4th highest. These line
So again, just for the microphone here, Sean Bannon, Jose Carrasco, and Dick Ewing for the three-year terms. Ludo Hood will fill the 2-year term vacated by Allison. So those are our 4 new board members. So we're going to have a little switch up. So if those gentlemen can come up, take their places. All right.
Yeah.
Wherever. All right. So here is your new board. Johnny's going to lead us in the officer nominations, which, by the way, a lot of people get confused. So every 3 years, we rotate 3 governors off, but the officers are nominated annually. So, Johnny.
For us, president, secretary, member. So we'll take nominations. If there have to be multiple people nominated for position, we need to do a key vote. That'll occur within 30 days after the meeting. But we'll start with president. So for nomination president, Mia. All right, Mia, you accept.
Yes. Thank you. Steve Titus.
Secretary.
Dick Ewing, I don't think.
Any other nominations?
I second.
Great, thank you. I do. Second.
Yep.
Okay, third.
Good, both.
Any other nominations? Not accept.
Sorry. All right. Johnny, thank you for doing that. I'm a fan of Johnny Forrest. We can tell. All right. With that, I mean, unless you guys want to keep hanging out, but does anyone want to make a motion? All right. It is 6:10. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. We'll see.